Okay, now we're going to do lesson 91B. 91B is going to be talking about the volume of spheres and the surface area of spheres. What I'd like to talk about first is, what is a sphere? Well, a sphere is a perfectly round three-dimensional shape. All the points on the surface of the sphere are going to be the same distance from the center, and that distance is going to be the radius of the sphere. So if you think of a point like at the very center of that, coming out and touching any edge, it's going to be equal to the radius of that sphere. We're going to learn the equation for the volume of a sphere and the surface area of a sphere. One thing that we're going to learn is that the volume of a sphere is going to be exactly 2/3 the volume of the right cylinder that it would fit into. So if you can imagine that these were so thin that it didn't take up any space here, this would fit directly into that. The heights would be the same, which if you think about it, from the center to the top, the center to the bottom, the height is going to be 2r, and whether the height's going this way or up and down. Okay, so we're going to take a look at volume. Remember, volume is the area of the base times the height. Well, how would we find the volume of the cylinder? The volume of the cylinder, the area of the base, would be pi r squared, because the base is a circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So the area of the base is going to be pi r squared. And the height is going to be 2r, because if you think about that circle, from the center of the circle to the top is r, from the center of the circle to the bottom is r, so the height is 2r. So we're going to multiply this by 2r, and then remember I told you that the area of the sphere is exactly 2/3 what the volume of this would be, so we're going to multiply this by 2/3. And we're going to find that the volume of a sphere then is going to be 2 times 2 is 4 pi, and then r squared times r is r cubed, and then all divided by 3. And then another way to write that is just simply volume is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. All right. Now we're going to talk about surface area, and then we'll do some examples. Okay. Here, kind of my drawing, I hope that the shapes helped a little bit more. This was for the volume. Again, volume is 4/3 pi r cubed, and if you can kind of think about that, this is the sphere sitting inside this inside the cylinder. Again, the radius from the top to the bottom is the height. So if you can't remember this formula, just start off with volume is equal to 2/3 pi r squared, because that's the area of the base, times the height, which was 2r. And if you have this, you can get back to this formula. We're going to learn that the formula for surface area of a sphere is simply 4 pi r squared. And a good way to remember that is kind of think about, like, if you had 4 circles that had the same radius as your sphere, and I don't know, I think of them as like orange slices or something like that. So this is what I picture in my head. When I'm talking about the surface area, I'm thinking of like 4 slices that go right through the middle, and then if I take all of these and then lay them on top of the sphere, it would just cover it completely. So that's just one way to try and remember this formula here, that surface area is equal to 4 pi r squared. So it's 4 of the areas cut through the center. Okay? All right, let's do some examples, and these are just plugging some numbers into those formulas. All right, so example 91.4 It says find the volume of a sphere whose radius is equal to 3 centimeters. Well, remember that volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. And remember that it's going to be cubed because whenever you're talking about volume, you're talking about cubic units. So your radius is going to have to be cubed. All right, and then we just plug some numbers in here. We have 4 times pi, 3.14, times r cubed. Well, our r is 3, so 3 cubed is going to be 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. This is all divided by 3. I would reduce before I multiply just because that makes it so much easier. And so essentially what I'm going to be multiplying is 36 times 3.14. And then if we multiply 6, 7, 8, and 18, 12, carry 1, 3, 4, 9, and then don't forget about your decimals. So we have 2 decimal places, so we're going to start here and move it over 2. So the volume of this sphere, 113.04 centimeters cubed. Okay, so those are pretty simple. Now we're going to do example 91.5, and that's finding surface area. So remember, surface area, think of 4 of those slices. So 4 pi r squared. We want to find the surface area of a sphere whose radius is equal to 4 meters. So then we just plug this in. 4 times 3.14. 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, 16 times 4 is 64, and then we're going to multiply that by 3.14. 16, 1, 4, 5, 12, 4, 2, 6, 7, 8, and 18, 6, 9, 10, 1, 8, 9, 10. Don't forget, when you multiply with decimals, count number of decimal places. So we have 2, so we move over 2. So the surface area of this sphere is 200.96 meters squared. And this is meters squared because we're talking about area. And that's it for the examples. So go ahead and do the practice. Go ahead, stop the video. Try and do the practice on your own and then come back and check your answers. We're going to do practice D and E for this. Okay, for D, it says find the volume of a sphere whose radius is 4 inches. So the radius is 4 inches. Do you remember the formula for volume? It's 4/3 pi r, we're talking about volume, so this is going to be cubed. Okay, so we have 4 times 3.14, and then r cubed. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64, and then we're going to divide by 3. Darn, I don't see anything I can reduce. So I guess we'll multiply away. 64 times 4. 24, 25, so I'm going to do 256 times 3 11, 12, oh no, 3 still isn't going to that. 3.14, 222, 2, 8, 9, 10, 6, 5, 2, 18, 15, 16, 1, 6, 7, 1, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'm hoping that my multiplication is good here. 803.84, now divided by 3. Bring my decimal up, goes into that twice. 6, 2, 0 goes into that 6 times. 18, 2, 3, 7, 9, goes into that 4. So I get, and then there's some remainder, but we will, let's see, it'll be 2/3. So this actually would round up. So check our answer. And that's it. So volume is equal to, I'll put it up here, 267.95 inches cubed. All right, so that is D. Now let's look at E. Find the surface area of a sphere whose radius is 5 feet. Remember the formula for surface area? Think of those 4 slices again. So 4 times pi r squared. So we're going to have 4 times 3.14 r squared. 5 squared, 5 times 5 is 25. Oh, this one's much easier. I like this. Okay, 4 times 25 is 100. So 100 times 3.14, well, multiplying by 100 is simple because you just move the decimal place over twice. So 1, 2. So that is simply equal to 314 feet squared. And that's it for this one.